Hello, boss. How you doing? We finally got you in the studio. Let's go.
Let's go.
You are a hard man to track down, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of play it like that a little bit.
Well, I mean, first of all, you're bi-coastal.
Wow.
Traveling back and forth, and then you're doing trips to Europe all the time. And hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the studio. I see you in the gym all the time, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, we love having you, actually. So thank you for supporting us.
Yeah. No, you know what the funny thing is I was training at your gym. So first of all, like Kurt, you're the founder of the Dog Pound. Like, let's get into that. Like, what made you think of starting a gym?
You know what? It was never actually about starting a gym. It was actually just about initially about myself getting healthy, and then about helping other people, feel their best, and then really just becoming the best trainer I could be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it's always been. The goal was never to build a gym. It just kind of happened.
I love it when
Like
things just randomly kind of happen.
Yes. Yeah.
So where did this journey of yours actually begin? Like, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, wow. From the Midwest. I had no idea.
Yeah. So I love Kansas City. It's great. And I was born and raised there. I went to Blue Springs High School, and growing up, I was kind of a chunkier kid. So I played football, but I was definitely overweight. And so my journey really began in terms of personal training is actually I got sick when I was 21, which was a blessing in disguise. I got diagnosed with a heart condition that I still currently have. And so it kind of forced me to change my lifestyle.
Oh, wow.
So I dropped 130 pounds over the course of a couple of years, and I started feeling better. And, I changed my diet habits and my workout habits. And then my friends started asking me, how did I lose weight? So I started helping them lose weight, and I decided to become a personal trainer. This is in my early 20s, which was just a couple of years ago.
Just a few years ago, right? Your 25th birthday was just a few months ago, right? Yeah. We're getting older every year.
I'm 45, so this would have been 20.
Oh, we're the same age. Yeah, awesome. 78.
Yeah, 79.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yours is coming up.
I turned 46 soon. Yeah.
Now yours is 40. Yeah,
Right.
got it. Just kidding. Yeah. Okay.
Getting up there. So what was it like growing up in Kansas City? I mean, what do you think was kind of the cause of some of your early weight issues? Was it just food, or, did your parents also kind of have preconditioned to gaining weight really easily? I'm just curious, where you came from.
Some of it's in the family, not so much my parents. My grandpa was really heavy. But I think it's really, I think it's more, I used to say I have a addictive personality, but I have a very passionate personality. I get really into things, which, tattoos is an example, working is an example, and chocolate milk was an example. Back then, I used to drink almost 2 gallons of chocolate milk a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was skim milk.
It didn't matter, did it?
Yeah. So back then, it's also the education, because you think it's skim, it's fat free, right? Even though there's a ridiculous amount of sugar in it. So that's so that chocolate milk, I just really like to eat a lot. So
did you ever hear that story about who's the director who did that movie Clerks and did Dogma and all those great movies with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but way back in the day? Do you remember him? He's like one of the first podcasters too. My mind is totally going blank. It'll come to me later when we're off air probably. But he gained a huge amount of weight when he was a kid because he was drinking Tropicana orange juice.
got it.
And he thought it's orange juice, it's healthy. But and he basically points to that as being one of the main issues of his weight gain when in his late teens, early 20s.
No, because it's a ridiculous amount of sugar. Yeah, same with chocolate milk. Yeah, so and I think it wasn't also a lot of my friends back home were pretty heavy, so it was just kind of we would joke, we would tease each other.
Right? It's a Midwest thing, isn't it? Yeah. But and what was it like playing football? Like, did you play for your high school team, like varsity? Like, what position did you play?
I played nose tackle.
Okay.
So yeah, you couldn't really move me. That was one good thing. But I wasn't like I was that great or anything. Our team was really good. But yeah, I played nose tackle. So and that's, I think, a benefit too of playing a position like nose tackle, because you're really looking out for the team, right? Like, you really just want to win. It's not so much about like what stats you get, it's more about like just making sure you win. So I think there's been a big benefit throughout this journey.
Yeah. And from Kansas City, I mean, you must be pretty happy that the Chiefs are so good these days.
You know what? The irony there is I'm actually a huge Raiders.
Oh, really?
My Little League football team was the Raiders.
I remember that. I got caught up in that same Raiders vibe back in the day. I had like a Raiders jacket, even though I grew up in Toronto, Canada, right? We didn't even have, like, we have CFL, but it's not the same.
No, but I think the Raiders, what's interesting is they, Al Davis really created a brand, right? So that's probably why you're wearing a Raiders jersey, because the Raiders do have a whole thing about them.
Well, they were so badass back in the day. Do you remember?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I think, and that's one of the reasons why all of our colors are black and white and silver.
So when did you decide that the Midwest was no longer for you and that you wanted to head to New York?
Well, so again, I got diagnosed with a heart condition when I was 21, and it was pretty severe, actually. But my parents really stepped in and helped me and my family, and that's one thing that I've realized throughout life is like I kind of always going back to the core, how important family is and your best friends are. So they really supported me. I got my health back. I lost a lot of weight, and then I started training. And so then in my late 20s, I started going out and I started partying, which is not the best idea if you have a heart condition. And so I got really, really sick when I was 30 is basically what happened. And so I moved to Memphis, Tennessee. I kind of lost everything I had. I moved in with my sister. She took care of me. Once again, family took care of me. My parents looked out for me too from a distance. And really, I was told I would need a heart transplant within a couple of years. And so I didn't want to get a heart transplant. So basically, my journey to New York was really to just get closer to my brother. Okay. So that's initially why I moved to New York. It had nothing to do with training or any of that. No one wanted me to move to New York, by the way.
Yeah, because that's a terrible place to go if you love to party, right?
Yeah, and also like I had no money, I had a heart condition, and like it's New York, right? It spits people out, especially like what you hear from the Midwest, right? But I did it anyways. I went and I stayed there for a few months. I got closer to my brother. I started feeling better. And one thing about personal training to me that's meant a lot is it's as rewarding for me as it is for the client, right? Because you're making people feel good. And so it's a service, right? So basically me training makes me feel good. Like, so I think I got back into personal training knowing it would make me feel good. So that's how I started in New York. So I started part-time. And then actually, you know what? I was on disability at the time.
Oh, really?
Heart condition. So I had to reverse disability, which is not an easy process, but hey. So, but because you can't work X amount of hours. So, so basically, I started training in New York, and then it just I started gaining my confidence back and like a belief in myself again, and like I wrote down my goals, right, and I really met one person there. Her name's Jenny, right, who really kind of ignited it, because sometimes you just need really one person to really believe in your dream. So I had 10 goals, right, and one of my goals was to train a celebrity, right, just because I thought it would be something cool, right. I also knew that in Kansas City when I was training and doing well there, I always thought I could do that, right. And so that was one of my goals. It would give me credibility, kind of these things. So that's how that
The heart condition you have, without getting too much into it, was it hereditary, or was it something that came about because of your heavy weight when you were a kid, or the partying? And
they're not really sure, actually. I mean, it definitely runs in my family, right? but they're not sure if it was a viral infection or if it was something I had since I was born that just kind of,
popped up.
yeah, this type of.
And so how many siblings do you have? You have your sister in Memphis and you have a brother in New York. And do you have any others?
I have another sister in Madison, Wisconsin. Her name is Debbie. And then I have a stepsister and a stepbrother in Kansas.
Oh, so you got a big family. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is everyone still with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone is. And so it's been an interesting, I think it's been an amazing upbringing to my mom's been married 5 times.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty impressive, actually.
That's not bad. Well done. Yeah.
So I think that's also really you kind of look back on your life and it's like how everything kind of connects. I think that has really helped me deal with people, and I've had different stepbrothers, stepsisters, right, and different
and stepfathers.
Yeah, just different upbringing, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I think it's all been blessed.
Yeah, it's interesting how important it is when you're young to have access to different people who are doing different things, and obviously you had a chance to do that through your family as well, having a big kind of community around.
My dad was an elementary principal, so this is also I went to school to be an elementary teacher.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, because I always wanted to do something that was rewarding, right? I think it was kind of in my upbringing. My mom actually lives in Africa now. Oh. She has a nonprofit, so she also has a big heart, and she likes to do stuff that's of service. So I think that's also been a big benefit.
Which country is she in?
She's in Malawi.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
Which is one of the
poorest. One of the poorest. Yeah, it's a really tough. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Do you ever go out to visit her?
You know what? I have not been. My stepdad is Malawian.
Oh, okay.
So, but they usually come here.
That's easier. I mean, I love the African continent is spectacular. I've had a chance to film there a few times, and everywhere we go, the people we meet, the landscapes, it's just otherworldly.
Yeah. No, totally.
So it's interesting. So in Kansas City, you kind of got interested in weightlifting and training for yourself to drop the weight and get healthier, and it worked. But then I guess the partying kind of took over, and then you ended up in Memphis, and then you went to New York to get closer to your brother, which is always the best. I'm really close with my brother. I love him a lot too. And it's interesting that when you're in New York, you're just okay, I'm just going to start being a personal trainer. Did you have to take any classes? Did you have to do any education?
Well, yeah. So I in Kansas City, I was a trainer. So there's 7 years or so that I trained in Kansas City, and so I got a lot of the initial education then, right? So it wasn't like I was just kind of doing it out of nowhere. What I wanted to do was do it again, because when I felt my best was when I was training people in my mid-20s, right? Mm-hmm. And so so that's how I got into it and to New York. It was pretty easy for me to just take what I had already loved and had been doing and just start applying it to New York.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's so interesting though that the service element of what you do and how you help people and how you help people feel good is so important to you, right? Because I've been going to gyms for my whole life since I was 15, right? And it's amazing how many personal trainers just do it so that they can be in the gym working out and they don't really care about their clients at all.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, or they're clocking in, clocking out, right? And I think that's part of the culture that's created at Dogbound, right? Is that we we work as a team, and that it's we hire people based off of our pillars, or we hire people based more on values than anything else, because you can teach someone how to train. It's not rocket science, really. I mean, there's some science to it, but it's not it's really about having someone that's passionate about it and that's positive, right? And that's authentic on who they are, right? And kind of these pillars.
I love this part that you kind of had to decompress in Memphis, and then when you started to feel better, you went to New York. I mean, and you went to New York. From what you said, at least, with confidence kind of at an all-time low. You were really looking to build yourself back up. But actually going to New York with low confidence seems like a total misnomer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why no one wanted me to go.
Yeah, because everyone there is beautiful and rich and doing successful things. Like, it's a terrible place to go to like find yourself because everyone else has kind of already figured it out.
Yeah, totally. And it usually spits people out. That's what people were telling me. Like even people that are at the top of their game go to New York and can't quote unquote make it. But I think for me, it wasn't about making it. I just really wanted to get closer to my brother. And like, you know, I also like kind of made New York a small town. I mean, it's like I just kind of stayed in the same neighborhoods, right? And yeah, so and then I started doing what I love, and so and that really exponentially exploded. I'm a big believer in universe, right? And so I really feel like a lot of it was like work that I was doing, and so I kind of asked for what I wanted, and be careful what you ask for.
The universe delivered. Yeah. Karma's a big deal. I think like the more you give, the more you get, for sure. And I think that, you know, the more you do right by people, the more things will come your way. And I believe in that a lot.
No, I agree with that. And even when it may not seem like it at the time, right? It always does. Because I look at my life now, it's like the stuff that I'm given is it's unbelievable, right? The opportunities and the gifts and and even just the joy, right, that is given to me. It's really next level.
So after getting kind of the training and the experience in Kansas City and then kind of hitting a speed bump, you end up in New York and you're like, okay, I want to start training people. So did you join a gym and do personal training through the gym, or did you just start bringing on your own clients? And then if you did, where were you training them?
So initially I started part-time at a gym, but again, going back to like the passionate personality, like part-time became full-time really quick, and then full-time came, I'm going to do my, you know, restart on my own again. Right. So, an opportunity landed where I was going to train a like celebrity client that never actually fell through, but I jumped for it anyways, and that didn't fall through. But going back to Ginny, right? So Ginny really was like a huge part of this, because she's really the first kind of outside person that believes in me. Like of course my parents have always believed in me and my best friends, right? But like, but even then, I don't know if they believed in what I was doing.
Yeah. Everyone will give you like a pat on the back and say, hey, you're doing great. But when it comes to like investing or starting a business, everyone's like, whoa, maybe not.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, but Ginny was really the first person that believed in me, and that, you know, she would meet me once a month or so, and I would kind of go through my goals, and she kind of helped me throughout the whole process. So, you know, initially I was wanting to have 10 clients, right? And then 10 became 20, and 20 became 40, and then 40 became 80, right? And then I started having to hire trainers to help me with the abundance, right? But that, you know, that I had that experience in Kansas City though prior, because I was really busy in Kansas City. Like I got really into it. So I'd already had that experience, and I kind of took that experience and from what had worked and what had didn't work. And so I kind of molded that part of it.
How scary is it for a personal trainer to be part of a gym and to have that security of having like a bigger brand above you, right? And working full time and being busy. And then how scary is that to like go out and start freelancing? Like, cause all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, are my clients going to come with me? Or, you know, do I have a big enough network to get going?
I think that, you know, that's a good question. I'm sure it is something, but if, you know, my entire life I was pretty much freelancing, right? The only time that I did not freelance was part-time in New York. So there was never fear, right? Because I had always, like, in Kansas City, I didn't ever work for a gym. I only worked for myself. And in New York, realistically, even when I first started at a gym, I was still like 1099. I still was like, right?
Yeah, private contractor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, so, but I do think it is a real thing, I think, especially if you don't have the experience. But I think since I did it out of the gate, it was never it was never a concern on whether or not I would get busy, right?
Yeah. And how important was, you know, Jenny's advice? Because you're right, like when you're trying to rebuild yourself and rebuild your confidence, having one person actually be like, you can do this, like that's such a game changer, isn't it?
It totally is.
Yeah.
It's a complete.
And because, your family will always love you, but I mean, you need that one outside person that's like, you're going to fucking crush this.
Yeah, no, totally. And also come through on believing in you. What I mean by that is like, meet you when they, actually meet you and actually take you through it and actually like be there for you if you have any questions or any hurdles, right, to help you kind of work through those. So, yeah, because New York's a different animal in comparison to Kansas City, and I really like was like the joke is like I'm like a Forrest.
Oh, really? Is this it?
I mean, the relationship's a little bit different than that, but it's like, but nonetheless, right? It's like, I feel like, in Forrest Gump, like these like magical.
Yeah. So this is you. And was Jenny's background in personal training, or was she a businesswoman, or what? Yeah.
Finance and real estate, and she's from New York. Actually, she's originally from China. Moved there when she was 2. Right. She's pretty inspiring as well. Right. Like her parents still don't speak English. Right. And so I think but she's the smartest person I know, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of smart people at Dog Pound. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you know I did 18 years in Shanghai, China?
Did you really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I went, so I graduated, I played Division I basketball in Canada, and I wasn't good enough to play pro or good enough to play for the national team. So I was kind of like lost. Yeah. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm out. And I moved to China when I was 22, and I never looked back.
Good for you, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was fun. I worked for the New York Times I worked as a freelance journalist, like Time, Newsweek, Forbes, Fortune, New York Times for about 10 years. And then around 2010, 11, I started making television, and then I did that, and then I still do that today. Yeah. Yeah. But Shanghai's amazing. Have you ever been?
I have been, actually, because going now, if I look back at this journey where I started, and it is a journey, because like, who knows what's up next in the future, right? But it's like, I went to Shanghai with Victoria's Secret, actually.
Okay.
They had the Victoria's Secret show, and
yeah, I remember they were doing the runway show there as well. It wasn't as big as the New York one, but they were definitely taking it around to the major kind of fashion hotspots, and Shanghai was one of them.
Shanghai was one of them. Yeah. So I was there because at that time, like, we started training a ton of Victoria's Secret models. So I was there during the show, right, training them out of the hotel that we were.
And what'd you think of the city? Did you get to see enough of it?
You know what? I was really just working. I saw very minimal, but from what I saw, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Right. I remember going to a building that's really tall.
Yeah. The Shanghai World Financial Center would have probably been it in 2018. Yeah, because the other one hadn't been built yet. So that was that's 101 stories. They call it. It has the rectangle in the top. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember going to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't do too much because I was really working, which working for me is not really working, right? It's like what I love. It's literally what I do because I love doing it.
Well, a good personal trainer is so important because, so I love nature, right? And I love connecting with nature, and I love sleeping out in nature, and I love climbing mountains and walking across deserts and doing crazy shit like that. But there's so much of like our subconscious that needs to be active and needs to be out in nature. Because you think about like 10,000 years ago, we were all running through the woods hunting and shit like that, right? And now we don't do anything. We just fucking sit around and we don't do shit. So if we don't work out, and if we don't keep our hunting senses and our ability to move, if we don't keep that in check, then everything goes to whack. Like not only our physical self, but our mental capacity, and our soul, it just all melts to shit. I really believe that. Like if we don't keep our body ready for anything, we lose everything else.
Yeah, that's true. That's a valid point, actually. I didn't think about that.
Well, I mean, because if you're not physically fit, you don't feel like you can do anything. And if you don't feel like you can do anything, your confidence falls apart right away, right? I mean, like, unless you've got a real physical ailment and you've learned how to live with it or something like that. And of course, there's many people who overcome all those kinds of challenges, and they're completely inspiring. But for like a regular guy or gal, being fit and being able to move your body in the way you want is so important.
Yeah, that is true. That's a valid point. Let's go, Ryan.
Let's go. I'm doing my twice a week. I'm getting it done.
Yeah. Yeah, good for you. You've been pretty consistent, actually.
Yeah, I love it. The guys at the gym are amazing, and I'm gonna after this chat with you, I'm gonna start bringing them on slowly because they all want to chat as well. And because what you guys do is so inspiring to me, and I love. I mean, the backstories are the best. I mean, your backstory I wasn't familiar with, and we're still getting into it. I still have lots of questions for you about New York, but like most of the guys are athletes, like Zach and Zay and the boys, like they all played football or something like that, and I want to hear all their stories as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's one thing that I feel we're all unique in our own way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what makes it special. And I think one thing that has differentiates me, whether it's good or bad, is I was an athlete, but I was by no means like a superior.
You're the roughest nose tackle in all of Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm probably the least likely. Like if you were to line up 100 personal trainers, I'm the least likely someone would pick to be like, okay, that's the guy, right?
But I think it's more than just like, physical appearance or whatever. I mean, like once you build that trust and once you have that connection with someone you're training with, and once they kind of show you that they actually care about what they're doing and that they want you to feel better, want you to be stronger, and that's an unbreakable connection.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's the difference maker, but also being able to relate and being able to, help someone improve from where they're at now to where they want.
Mm-hmm. So I'm good friends with Nigel Barker, actually. And
I love Nigel.
Yeah. We almost made a few TV shows together back in the day. But oh yeah, yeah. He's the sweetest guy. I love him a lot. And we almost had a few projects that we were trying to get going before COVID hit, and then we kind of got speed bumped. But I remember being in touch with him, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm in New York for like a month. Where can I work out?" And he goes, "Dog Pound."
Yeah. he was a big person in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So so going back to like New York, right? So I wanted to get 10 clients, and then 10 became 20, and then one of the goals was to land a.
This was back when Nigel was a judge for America's Next Top Model, right? He was like the fashion photographer that everyone wanted, and yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. He is the best, actually. He's such a great guy.
Yep.
He really is. He's inspiring, and he's a great dad, and he's just a great person.
Yeah.
So I think, but the first celebrity I landed, right, was Hugh Jackman, actually.
Oh well, that's a big one.
Yeah. He was training for Wolverine, which is like insane if you think about like your first person to land, right?
Yeah.
And so with that came Nigel Barker as well.
Amazing. I mean, how cool is it for you when a client like Hugh Jackman comes to you and says like, "Hey, I have a big job coming up. I have to be the physical representation of a comic book character, Wolverine, and I have to look fucking ripped." I mean, how hard is that for you to be like, okay, how much time do we have? Because how much are you eating? How many calories are you taking in? Can you do 2 a day? Like, I mean, like, how hard is it for you to like create a program to get him as ripped? Because obviously he's artificially big when he does Wolverine, and then he trims back down because you see pictures of him all the time.
Yeah.
But what was that like for you to get him up to that level?
Well, I would say I've been pretty blessed, and I would say in the craziest way, it's probably easier than most clients because someone like Hugh is so dialed in, right? He had already done Wolverines before, and it's like I'm just like along for the ride, basically. So I mean, a lot of people like I think one thing that's good about personal training, especially for someone that's really busy, right? It's like they have to make so many decisions throughout the day. It's like to just go into the gym and like not have to think, right? And someone's just taking you.
That's what I love about it. Yeah, absolutely. You just throw yourself into the gym, come out an hour later wrecked.
Yeah, no, totally. So I think a part of it is like, Hugh is going to get there regardless if I'm.
Don't sell yourself short. Come on, you were the key. Come on.
He would have never been like now. So I think what I'm saying is I'm blessed to be a part of that journey, and I feel like a lot of the people that we get are really dialed in, and so I think the key is like making it somewhat fun, right, and making it custom towards something that they like and that they don't get injured, right? And that just just following through on that. So it's not as hard. It's more of a blessing than anything. Like, of course, you can, your mind is very powerful. You can make it a stressful thing, but it's actually just an amazing opportunity.
I like the way you said that. It's like you were just along for the ride, and helping him and supporting him as best he could, but he was going to go there no matter what. And yeah.
It is true, and I think that's with a lot of the people that we get at this level, or they're going to make it there anyways, because they're people at the top of their game. They got to the top of their game because they're dialed in, right? So I'm just blessed to be a part of that journey. I try to make the time as effective as possible.
And you're dialed in as well. I love that too. Like, I see you in the gym all the time, whether you're working with someone or not. Like, you're always helping people, and you're just totally focused on the task at hand. And I love that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so back to New York. So Jenny inspires you to go out to get back into the game and kind of build yourself up again, which is amazing. So you start training private clients again, amazing. So what happens when you get 40, 50, 60, 70, you're starting to hire other trainers? Are you teaching them your method, or are you just hiring people who are good? Like, what is it like when someone wants to work with you? Obviously, they have to like you, they have to trust you. You have to, provide them with a good service. They have to feel confident and like they're getting the benefits they need. But are you training people in like a unique style?
You know what? So I think there's a couple of things on that. I think I'm very big on people being authentic, right? So bringing their own flavors to the game, right? And I don't really believe in one style, right? I think like Bruce Lee says this, like style is something that separates people, right? And so and not necessarily a good way, right? So I think though that there was a lot of trainers throughout the process that since people believed in me as the underdog, I tend to believe in people that don't have that much experience, right? And so then I would say yes, they pick up on a lot of the styles or methods that I use, right? But I do believe in like people using it as it's almost like an art. It's almost like a form of art in a way, right? Now that being said, there are certain things that I would say are like dog pound ish throughout the years, right? Mm-hmm. There's certain movements, and I think it's just because I've used them a lot. A lot of our trainers have used it a lot. So there's certain techniques I think that are used throughout dog pound, but there's not a.
Mm-hmm. I love how innovative you guys are too, because I remember I was living. This might not be a great example, but I was living in Shanghai, China for a long time, and I had a personal trainer there, and he would take me through the weights and stretch me out and things like that. And we would do lots of things. But then I remember I was living in New York for like 3 months, 1 year, and then I talked to Nigel. He's like, "Yeah, go down to the dog pound." So I signed up for a bunch of classes, and I came down, and I had.
Came to New York.
Yeah, I did for sure. I was there a couple times. I never saw you though. But I was at the New York one like twice a week for 2 or 3 months in like 2017, 18. Yeah. And it was great. So I show up there and I had a great female trainer. I can't remember her name. And I just thought like that, you guys were going to walk me through like, here's some weights, like, let's do some of this. And she's like, no, we're doing a high intensity interval workouts. We're going to do 3 sets. We're going to do 3 different workouts, 3 sets each. You can't take breaks until you're done. And I was like, holy shit. And I was just, and I was like, oh my God, this just upped the game massively. And I fell in love with it. And then actually, and then that's part of why when I now have finally had the chance to move back to LA, because I actually just moved to LA in December of last year. So I've only been here like 3-4 months now. And of course, getting back into the gym has been huge for me. And I feel, healthier and stronger than I have in years.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I do think one thing that is unique is us working as a team. So I think whether the trainers realize it or not, like what happens is I think their training skills really improve working inside of the dog pound because we're all working together. So you can start picking up things from different trainers, right? You can add stuff into your weapons.
Yeah, weaponry. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a part of it too. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So you always need to think of ways to including myself and anyone else, ways to improve and to get better and to learn, right? And so I think
Yeah, no, that's you can tell it really is like a big family, and it's quite beautiful. Yeah. So you're in New York, you've got like 60, 80 clients, you're hiring other trainers who are learning a little from you, also bringing their own mix and tricks. Like, when do you decide, like, shit, I need a physical space?
Well, kind of like most things in my life, it's kind of forced too. So
I didn't want to do it.
I was totally happy renting space out of gyms, right? Because you pay a fee, you bring your client, right?
Oh, you can do that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, independent training works is like you bring your clients in, you pay a fee to the gym, and I was totally happy with that. But it grew so large, like there was 2 different gyms I got kicked out of, like not because I did anything bad, it just grew too big because like people were wearing our shirts, right? It's like it's like now all of a sudden it's like confusion for their own clients.
So when did you come up with the Dog Pound name?
So the Dog Pound name came from Nigel Barker, Hugh Jackman, this whole crew,
Yeah.
right? Because Hugh started
Oh, did he? That's great.
and Nigel as well.
Yeah.
And so this kind of group in the morning got formed, became known.
That's awesome. That's such a great name. What was that, like 2015, 2012?
2014.
Okay.
Yeah, 2014 and 15. Well, 2014, 15. Prior to that, it was Kirk Myers.
So much more boring.
Which is very creative.
Very creative, yeah.
Yeah. So basically that's how the name got formed. But then if everyone's wearing Dog Pound shirts, right? It's just like
Right, yeah, with all the other people like at an Equinox or whatever.
yeah. So we kind of got kicked to the curb and kind of had to, like, I figured the next step, right? I started renting space at David Barton Gym, actually, which they usually don't allow, but I convinced them to do it, right? And so and then we started raising capital for the gym in New York.
How hard was it bringing like celebrities into other gyms where you didn't control the space and the feel and, having other people kind of interact with them? Was that ever an issue?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to it because some of it was kind of like ego-wise, you kind of felt cool, right? Because you had all these big people, right? And like because that's the whole, when you get a celebrity client, right? It's like it gives you some credibility, right? And so some of it was cool. I think the other part though is challenging because you can't control the environment. Just like, for example, 1 week you're renting space out of a gym, the next week.
And this is New York too. It's not like LA where people have big homes up on the hill or whatever, and they have like gyms at home, or you can train them at their house, right? Like New York, you can't train at home. You have to go out pretty much.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we had to. Jenny actually helped with that too. Like all these transitions, she helped with. Like because there was 2 different times I got kicked out of gyms, right? She helped me find another space.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Amazing. And how stressful was it for you when you thought, like, because when you're freelancing, you don't really have overhead costs, right? You only pay for the gym when you bring a client. So it's a kind of pay to play. But when you're raising money and raising financing for a physical building and you're like, shit, this is like serious overhead now. Like I got rent payments every fucking month. Like, you got to have staff and you got to have electricity and you got to have all these other things to think about. Like, that has to be just from a business standpoint, that has to be such a huge stress and a huge transition. Like, how did you deal with that?
You know what? That never came into play until COVID, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because I think out of the gate, initially I was so confident it would work that it did work, right? As so it wasn't. Now I definitely have a theme of going, what's the word? Frank Sinatra says it.
Sure, I love that. You have to, man. Yeah.
Like with New York, because I had no experience raising capital, by the way. I had no experience with building out anything.
No one does.
And so but the space we, signed the lease was completely like it got Hurricane Sandy had hit it, right? There was nothing in it, right? So there was a lot more of little details that had to be fixed up.
Sure.
Before it actually got fixed, right? So I think, so if I look back on it, I'm actually impressed that we actually got it done. So, but I don't, I was really confident. We already had 80 clients, almost 100 clients. So I knew that, the revenue was there, right? And so, and I knew that we would be able to drive more. And then the irony here, though, is we opened up, like Hugh Jackman was like our big person, right? And as soon as we opened up, within the first couple months, he had to move to Australia for like 2 years.
To do a movie or something.
Yeah. There's a couple reasons why, and so I was like, oh shit. So, but you know what? The open again universe is Marty Harper, this guy who's a hairstylist, sent Jasmine Tukes for me to train, and she's this big Victoria's Secret model, and he told me like as soon as she comes, like, honey, like all the girls are gonna come. That's exactly what happened. Jasmine came, Josephine Scriver came, Romy Stride came, Lais Ribeiro, like they all just started pouring in. So then it went from like most of our experience were with like guys getting fit to women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, like over the course of the last 7 years, 95%, probably more than that, of the people that I've trained have been women.
Oh, really? Is that why we haven't trained together? Sounds good. We're gonna have to change that one of these days. What's the difference? What's the difference between training men and training women? Like, going from Hugh Jackman, who's obviously a massive physical specimen of strength and power, getting him ready for Wolverine. Everyone knows what he looks like. To a Victoria's Secret model. Like, what do you have to do mentally to make sure that you're giving them the best? But it's got to be a totally different recipe.
Yeah, it's a different recipe, but and I'm not just saying this, but women are tougher than men. I mean,
I've been divorced. I know where you're at.
They are, and so like I think that the pain tolerance is higher actually. So that's one thing for sure, right?
That's why you won't train me, because I heard me whine. You heard me whining too much.
No, and I think that also like I think also it is a different approach, right? So I think, but also women are way more powerful on social media and the fitness world in general. If you look at the economics, right, they make up 70% plus of even the economics of gyms or athletes.
Well, I was going to ask you this too. I mean, because, when I went to your gym, I think in 2017, like everyone was taking pictures of themselves and the trainers were taking videos of everyone working out. And I was like, wow, this is strange. I was like, is this what people in New York do? Because people were doing it in Shanghai, but way, way less. And I was, and then I started following the Dog Pound on Instagram, and then I started following you. And I was like, holy shit, like how much has social media transformed the Dog Pound and your business? Because having all these Victoria's Secret models who have millions of followers, and then having someone like Hugh Jackman who has millions of followers, having all these people training with you and your amazing team, and then blasting it out into the ether, like it's got to be the greatest marketing tool in the world.
And it was really, really big, because there's with the Victoria's Secret models, there was also a global presence, right? Because you have someone is from Sweden, and then someone is from Brazil, and someone's from, right? So there's like you really hit a global audience.
And everyone lives in Manhattan.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think also back then social media is a little bit different, because I think now it's became a little more of a business, right? And which is it's not a bad thing. It's just a part of the transition, right? And so I think initially, though, it really helped with getting our brand on the map. Not that our brand is that big or anything like that, but I think like we are like known in this.
In the right, you guys are well known in the right circles. Yeah, come on, don't be so shy.
Well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
But I think so. I'm excited for the future, right? And as it continues to transition, and kind of like what we have in store in the.
Amazing. So what was it like kind of raising money to put that first physical center in New York? Because you're on what, Varick Street, right?
We're on
Renwick, that's right. Yeah.
Because you must have lived in that area or close to it.
I was nearby, but I just remember pushing that fucking tire wheel up and down that street in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And the sled. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're on Rentway. What was the question?
It was just like, just picking that fucking tire up the sidewalk. I love how you guys use the physical space around your New York center as well. Like guys, everyone's working out on the sidewalk. When it's not too busy, people are working out on the road. And people are working out in the rain, which always makes for good social media posts and stuff. But my question just was like, how did that fundraising come together? Like, was it business people that you went to, or was it clients that wanted to help you get to the next level?
It was all clients, but they were business people as well, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So the first round was 20. It was 22 investors.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. That's great that you kept it in the community.
Yeah, they all kind of pitched in, and so, but it's interesting looking back, right? Just because I had really no experience with it, but I had I had a lot of really smart people helping me. Like there was a guy named John O'Neill who really helped me with the legal part of it, right? And so that was great. And so it was pretty actually easy to raise capital. I'm like, this is not easy. It really was like, in fact, all the way up until COVID actually, and then they got a little bit tricky there for a little bit, but we pushed through that.
When did you decide, like, okay, New York is going great, like let's open one in LA, like let's get into West Hollywood and make it happen?
Yeah, so I'd only been to LA 4 times my entire life.
That's crazy.
See, it was clients that had lived here, right, and were going back and forth that kept telling me to open up LA, because we were thinking about expanding because New York was doing really well. And like, so, and I think Jenny and myself had always had the idea of, it's more than just more than just a gym.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
This so we didn't really want to open up a ton of like 4-wall places, right? But at that time, like the easiest expansion was to open LA, right? And then, also increase the brand and get more clients that are in Hollywood and in film, right? So, so we decided in 2018 that we're going to open LA. And so we...
Right before COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, what was COVID like for the fitness training industry, the way you saw it through your eyes? Like, because obviously it was devastating. And I've got a great story about COVID too, if you want to hear it.
Yeah. You want to go first, or you want me to?
I'll go first. So I was in fucking Ethiopia, in northern Ethiopia, in the Simeon Mountains, filming an episode of Extreme Treks, one of the TV shows I get to make. And the whole world just fucking closed. So I was like offline for 2-3. So I went there in March 2020, right? And I knew like some things were starting to happen, and like China had already closed, but that was kind of not an issue. I was living in Dubai at this time, by the way. I'd left Shanghai in 2019, 2018. So I was in Dubai, and, Italy was starting to close a little bit. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to Africa, film in Ethiopia. And then, offline for a few days, get to the top of a mountain, got some mobile reception, checked my messages, and like the whole world was closed. And I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't go back to Dubai, and I ended up Turkey. Turkey was one of the last countries to close their borders, and I got from Ethiopia. I canceled filming, and then we all got out, and I managed to get into Turkey, and I ended up spending 4 months there, just hanging out, riding out that first wave.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Now your turn.
Yeah. Well, so we where was I at? Now I'm just thinking where I was actually overseas. I was in Europe. Jenny sent me this message, hey, I think you should fly back because there's this virus that's like, right? I mean, I thought it was just like exaggerated.
Yeah.
I didn't pay.
This is bullshit.
Yeah. And then like the next day, she texted me again, like, hey, I really think you should come back. I think they're going to shut down the airports. I started Googling and I was like, holy shit. Like, so I flew back, and we closed 3 days later, right?
Oh my God. Wow.
But COVID, I think, had its challenges, but I think, again, like, I look back now and I think it's all happened for a reason. It's all happened to get us to where we're at now, to get me to where I'm at now. And so I'm even, grateful for that experience as well. And I think in the fitness industry, I think it was challenging for a lot of people, right? Because they're, especially a trainer, because you're used to meeting your client. But I think, I don't know, I think it all happened for a reason. I think our team stayed really strong. I was really proud of that. And then we had some challenges maybe a year after COVID, but we stayed strong initially, right? But I think that's just a part of, me, improving on communication, improving. There's some things that I could have improved, right? And there's some things that were just kind of meant to be, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, if they stayed strong, it's because of strong leadership, right?
yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I had a production company, and I had about 8 people working for me pretty much full time, and it was devastating because they were all looking to me to be like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, we can't film and no one's paying us, and this is the end. And I had to go through that with each of them, and it was like a really difficult responsibility to make sure I communicated that kind of really effectively. And I'm just wondering, like, did you feel that pressure too, to like keep the band together, like keep everyone kind of positive and focused?
I took your strategy. I went vice versa strategy. We kept everyone.
Oh, amazing.
We kept it going. We didn't really furlough, very minimal people, right? And because I think I was also so confident in raising capital, right? Which we did, just not as much as I was wanting to. So that's where the struggles came in, right? Is like we did raise the capital, but it was a little bit harder than I had anticipated. And I've heard this before, like it's hard to raise capital and run a business, right? So it's like kind of hard to do both. So while I was out, like really, trying to get everything covered, it's like some of the communication in the business wasn't going as strong, right? So it's like that was the struggle, right?
It's also hard to raise money, like when everyone thinks that like the world is going to.
That totally is. It's not as easy as people think, actually.
No, like the doomsday scenario that was being painted for all of us, every time we turned on the news. I mean, and then people are asking for money and investing, and it's like, no, I got to keep it. The world's ending. Like I got to keep everything, together. It's terrifying, wasn't it?
No, it was not that easy. And I think our team didn't quite realize that, but that's okay. It's like, it's.
So how long was the dog pound in New York officially closed? Like no one in or out?
Man, what's interesting is throughout it, because there was a couple of stop and goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think from March to probably August, so March, April, May, those 6 months. But then I don't know if you remember it. Then it came back again.
Yeah, the double lockdown. Yeah, that's the one that killed me. Actually, was November 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. So November, December. So we're open. So there was that, and then even the following year, I believe again, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm.
Yeah, 2021. There was lockdowns again in 2021, and like this whole thing went till like a year and a half ago. Like so we've only had like a year and a half of freedom.
Yeah. No, so that was the bumps in the road, even with raising capital and managing the team, and so now, and if you look at where I had started, which was I was just trying to get my house back, get close to my brother. Like now, you fast forward, we had 70 employees, right?
It's incredible.
So because 2 locations, we had 40 plus trainers. You have maintenance, like the customer service people, some executives, right? And so like. Yeah, so it was a lot.
It was a lot.
There was a lot to juggle, but like I think again, all of these were a great learning curves, right? And I even went through the phases of like, being grateful, and then being like mad at everyone, and then being mad at the world, and then being back to grateful, right? And I think, but it's always good to take the grateful route. It's not as easy sometimes when things aren't going your way, but usually when things aren't going your way, there's a reason for that, right? There's a lesson, in that.
Yeah, I feel like when you're putting out negative energy, it kind of becomes a vicious circle, right?
It totally does. Yeah. So, and it's hard to get out of a little bit sometimes, but I do, like, we're talking about karma. Like I do feel like we did the right thing, and when you do the right thing comes back to you. So I do feel like the right thing is coming back to us, and so I am very grateful for where I'm at. I feel like we're in a really great position, both me personally and.
I mean, was it one of your strategies early on to really focus on that celebrity crowd? I know you kind of got in with Hugh Jackman, Nigel Barker, 2 amazing people. Then the Victoria's Secret models kind of took off, but I feel like, I mean, you're training nowadays some of the biggest celebrities, biggest Hollywood actors, that are around. I mean, obviously it's word of mouth, but you're obviously putting some powerful positivity out into the world, and it's attracting, really amazing and talented people, which I think is testament to your skill as a trainer, but also your personality as to who you are.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, I think a lot of that has been, yes, putting it out into the universe, but a lot of it's just been referrals, right? So it's like not necessarily like trying to get actor or musician, or a lot of it has just been referrals, right? So I think one thing that is good is I feel like we've created a really safe, positive, fun space, and I think that is like that's something that's really special, right? So so I'm very blessed with that, because like I feel like we have the best clients, right? Whether they're celebrities or not, right? We really do have and you probably feel this when you're in there. We have the nicest clients. Everyone is super positive.
Everyone's fist bumping, high fiving. Everyone's kind of dancing to some music, taking a break every now and then, and cheering everyone else on. It's really a really positive and powerful experience. But also too, because I think you've really kept it niche, right? Like you haven't gone so for example, there's another gym that opened up a few years ago called F45, which is the Mark Wahlberg gym, right? And his goal is to have like 1,000 F45s all around the world and franchise them out. And he's done that. There's one in Dubai. I didn't go there, but I saw them, doing the construction on it and stuff like that. And that's obviously one way to go. But you've kind of gone in the totally opposite way of like building a niche client base and like really building a family.
Yeah. No, I think with the one-on-one training, there's other ways that I think we can scale in the future, doing more of a studio concept, like F45 is more like one to many, right? But I think like the one-on-one training is, we really want to really add value to our clients. That's really the key, the future, right? Is like give the product that we have now, but keep improving that service. But that one-on-one thing is hard to scale. Actually, if you look at it, it's there is no one-on-one gym that exists in LA and New York, like kind of a celebrity gym, or like high level one-on-one space, that unless it's attached to like Equinox or something, right? Mm-hmm. But there really isn't, actually. So I'm
yeah, no, again, it's incredible, and it's great that because I feel like I've done classes at the gym, right? And you've got 4, 5, 6 other people, sometimes 10, right? And you're all going at different paces, and the coach is trying to help everyone along and stuff like that. But it doesn't even come close to one-on-one training, and the feeling after doing a one-on-one session for an hour and having someone know, like your coach or your trainer, know exactly what you need, exactly how hard to push you, exactly how to motivate you, and just having that one-on-one relationship with them is so much more powerful than being part of a group.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go.
So where do you see Dog Pound moving in the future? I mean, like, are you going to open up a shop in Miami? Because Miami's hopping these days. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone in Hollywood's moving to Austin, Texas, apparently. Like, would you ever open up there? You have any family there?
Yeah, we've had a ridiculous amount of opportunities over the last several years to open up in different areas, the Middle East, South America, all over the country, right? So I think it's a matter of us strategically doing it right, and also potentially rolling out a different concept if we were to franchise or like bring it more to scale, right? More of a one-to-many like studio concept instead of the one-on-one. But we have looked at Miami.
Okay.
For sure.
Because I see on Instagram you guys do some like classes in Miami, but you don't have a physical space yet.
Yeah, we have we've done a few pop-ups there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's always fun to do the pop-ups, like, because there's the Hamptons is a good spot, for example.
Not in the winter. Oh my God. Okay, so obviously the Dog Pound, this brand that you've created, this amazing clientele that you've created is spectacular. I mean, I see things on Instagram where, you're training people like Justin Bieber, people like Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman. These are all people who trust you to keep them fit and healthy. And I think that is like one of the highest recommendations you could ever have.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. I've been very blessed with our
And the real question is, I'm really curious because obviously you have this massive commitment to your clients, and a lot of these clients have been working with you for like more than a decade now, right? So you have these personal client relationships, but then you also have this business to run. And I'm wondering, like, how much of your day, percentage-wise, is doing client work with these people that you love, who you've helped them, achieve all their goals for the last decade, versus running a business, which can really bog you down.
Yeah. Well, I think the good news is they work hand in hand, right? At least at some level. And I think the other good news is I have Jenny, right? Who is amazing and helps with a lot of the business stuff. And we also have some really great investors that also help us as well. So I think that's the, just finding that right balance. And also, like, I think I wrote down my goals for this year, and they're similar to what they were when I first started.
Would you like to share any of them, or is it private?
Yeah, I totally can. Yeah. Some of them are a little bit cheesy, but
that's it, man. That's what we got. That's what we got.
Believe in myself. One, right? Because I'm a big believer in the universe, and if you believe in the universe, you have to believe in yourself, right? It's just a part of the process,
the spiritual cycle. Yeah.
So I believe in myself, get closer to my family and friends. Work on my health, right? Because my heart function has not been as high the last year or so, right? So I really need to kind of work to get that back.
How active an issue is that still for you?
It's still an ongoing issue. There's a thing called an ejection fraction. And so a normal person's ejection fraction is 50 to 70%.
Does that have something to do with like the blood pumping through the heart? Yeah.
Pumps. Yeah. Mine is at 20%, which is not very high. It's like, so it pumps more like that. So, but it's not,
you're still working hard. Yeah.
So I think working on my health, help transform someone's life, right? That was same as it was 10 years ago. Help kids with fitness, right? That's always been a goal because I wanted to be an elementary teacher. Those are some of the main.
Would you ever consider having like kids classes at the dog pound? Because I know, like, obviously there's a huge obesity problem in the United States, and there's a huge miscommunication and miseducation being given by the marketing of these food companies and these drink companies and everyone, and kids don't know what's what, and they're just being bombarded by the wrong messages all the time. Like, would you ever consider having like children or younger groups come through?
We do have kids classes. We haven't gone crazy in marketing it, but we have. It's called.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
So we do have kids classes, but I do see myself getting.
Yeah. Because I think it's a huge need, because no one is really communicating with children, how to really eat well, unless they have like healthy parents, which is the minority. Don't eat this, don't eat that. Like with your chocolate milk, like your parents didn't come down and be like, hey, that's not good for you, right? Yeah. You just kind of went and.
Yeah, and also at public schools, right?
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, because I used to get 8 chocolate milks because they're 25 cents each, right? So it's like
$2, baby.
My parents would not probably be having that if they were there, but no one's just.
I remember my public school cafeteria. Yeah, we had the cartons of chocolate milk. We had like Coke, Sprite, and it was all like hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, like fried chicken wings. Like there was nothing green at all.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. We grew up in the same era.
Yeah. Couldn't wait for chicken nugget day.
Chicken nugget day. No wonder we couldn't stay awake in the afternoon for our classes. Oh man, it's tough. Yeah, but working more holistically. Do you ever do any of that with any of your other clients, like beyond just actual fitness training and muscle training? Like, do you ever work with them on diet and like maybe like a more holistic lifestyle?
Yeah, we I would say almost always is incorporated at some level. Now, so I'm not a dietitian, right? We work with a couple nutritionalists, right? So just because it's better, I always feel it's better if I stay in my lane to where I'm really educated on. Like, of course, I know a lot of the basics. I know what's worked for me, what's worked for clients, but I think we typically try to use a nutritionalist on that as well.
Yeah, no, it's important to stay in your lane for sure. But it's great that you also offer kind of that, because I think because obviously, like, you know, the amount of calories that Hugh Jackman has to eat getting ready for a Wolverine movie versus one of your Victoria's Secret model, you know, clients is a completely different game, and they might need advice and help in that space.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're totally right on that. Because food is like is such a big part of it. Nutrition, like you can lose 50 pounds sitting on your couch. You can gain 50 pounds going to the gym every day, right? Depending on which way you want to go or what you're putting into your body.
That's true. It's always funny. Like I always find it so like strange the way people are so like focused on their weight instead of their body image. Like you see all these really, you know, you see all these like people who aren't that strong, aren't that fit, you know, but they have a low body weight, but it's kind of just being skinny fat. And then you have these people who are heavier but they have a much better body image and they look much more like well-rounded and balanced and posture and everything like that. And still, like, so many people, especially in this country, are so fixated on actual, like, a number of their weight instead of, you know, posture and body image and all this kind of stuff. It feels like there's still a huge disconnect there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah. Because I think I'm heavier now than I've ever been, but it's mostly muscle. And
also sexy.
Thank you for that. I hope lots of people watch this now. So what's 2024 been like for you? Because I've been seeing you in the news everywhere, and obviously that's been good for business. But you want to talk a little bit about like how this kind of big bump in the PR has helped the business in the last couple months?
Yeah, I think like we have, I've had some amazing projects recently, right? So that's been exciting, right? So I think this next year, I'm super excited about because I really am spending more time on myself, right? And I think the bump in PR, I think not only short term, but I think it's really gonna long term.
Because I think when all these famous people trust you to get them fit for a concert, tour, or a movie, you know, and then the media asks them, hey, like, how do you film for, you know, 3 straight months, you know, doing all these action sequences? Oh, you train with Kirk. You know, how do you do a 50-city concert tour? You know, how do you stay fit for? Oh, I train with Kirk. Like these people are now really pushing your name into the media, saying like, hey, this is my secret sauce. It's this guy.
Yeah.
And now I think like I've just been catching the headlines and obviously following you on your social media and stuff like that. And it seems like everyone's finally cluing into how good you are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think again, I think I'm just blessed to be a part of the journey. It's the same thing, right? And there's certain clients I've had for a long time, right? And so it's really been great to watch the whole process, right? And it's always great to watch someone be really successful.
What do you look for in a dog pound personal trainer? So obviously you're the guru and you're also running the show, but when you're looking to hire people, what are some of the qualities you're really looking for in some of your because I mean, you have personal trainers in there, you know, who are older, and then you've also got little Stevie, and he's going to kill me that I called him little, but he trained me the other day, and he's fucking awesome.
Just an example. So like, see, you know, he started in maintenance, right? We've had several people like this who, but he's a great example. He started in maintenance, but he really learned a lot of his craft on his own, right?
Yeah, and he's wicked with the boxing. Yeah, but he was working me out the other day, and he was just crushing me, and I'm like, man, it's a great workout. And then we were, you know, he was kind of stretching me out at the end, and I was like, man, how old are you? Like, how long you been doing this? He's like 21, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and what's impressive about him, he's also able to train a diverse age group, a diverse client base. Because usually, I'm stereotyping, but sometimes the 21-year-olds, right? Like I don't.
Yeah,
and he definitely gives a wicked workout, but he's able to not. Yeah, you can actually move after it.
which is the important part. But back to the question, like, are there any like specific qualities that you look for in a personal trainer?
There is actually. Can I pull this up?
Yeah, you got a list?
I do. We have a culture book. Shit, I have to take.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, go for it.
This. Let me show you this. Actually, I think you'll be proud of this, because going back to Ginny, me and Ginny actually made this.
Because I feel like, the reason I'm asking this is because I've worked out at the dog pound in New York and I've worked out at the dog pound in LA. And it's amazing, like, how motivating the coaches are, how knowledgeable they are about just getting the most out of their clients all the time and really being able to figure out what you need and what you don't need. And I just feel like having two places like that on both sides of the country and having that similar culture is amazing. It's okay, don't worry. What do you got for me here?
Sorry. Yeah. No. So thank you. I think a part of it, keeping that consistency, is so like this is our culture book, right?
The audience can't see, but I'm letting you know it's pretty cool here. Pretty cool. So you got culture book,
and so we base, like if you want to just like, our team of trainers are set out to revolutionize and change the world.
You're reading that upside down. Let's go.
Let's go. And these are our pillars, right?
Yeah.
Teamwork, positivity, passion, authenticity, community, right? So we really hire based off of this, right?
How hard is it to find people who are like really authentic? Because I feel like that's something we're losing every day.
Yeah.
I mean, older guys like you and I feel like that authenticity is kind of built in. But younger kids, like, they grow up on social media, they grow up kind of following all these other people. Like, how hard is it to find, young personal trainers that are truly authentic and know who they are?
Yeah, I think it's challenging, but I feel like we always find the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
Also, we really do get a ridiculous amount of people that apply to work for us, and sometimes we prefer to hire internally, right, or referral, right? So it's little Stevie.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't tell him I called him little though. He'll crush me. I only called him little because he was 21 and I felt so bad. Like, I was like, I'm more than double your age, man.
Yeah. So, but we hire based off these pillars. And I think that's the most important thing is the values, right? Because the other things can be learned. The values are harder to like teach someone.
And how involved are you in the hiring process? Like, would you meet everyone that gets hired?
No, I used to be more involved, but I think now the kind of like now there's 2 locations and there's expansion, dreams and visions, right? So a little bit less, but I empower our team to do it. So our team knows like what we hire based off of it, and I usually at least kind of know a little bit, but I let our team do it.
Well, I mean, you guys have such a strong reputation now. I think, the good people must gravitate towards you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been super impressive. I think I've worked out with almost everyone in LA, and it's been amazing. Yeah, it's the best. Because I also love it too, that like the great thing about the dog pound is like, you don't have to have the same trainer every day. Like, I love the way that, the clients are kind of shared around the training staff. And you get different personalities, you get different tempos, you get different workouts, and you get to kind of enjoy those different experiences with the different trainers, but it's all leading you in the same right direction.
Yeah. Now, I think one of the reasons for that is like back in the day, being an independent trainer, it's like it becomes like this weird competitive thing where like the other trainer is like talking smack on the other trainer just so they can keep their clients. It becomes this weird like
it becomes very competitive, right?
It also becomes like a relationship that's not good for the client sometimes. Does that make sense? It's like if you just have the one trainer and it gets, but we really do. It's a team with all of our clients right now. There's certain clients that trainers will lead more than others, right? But there's still a team approach, right? There's not one client that hasn't trained with, there's not one client that's just trained.
I love that too, because when you do train with all the, and then you come into the gym every day, it's like a big family. It's like, oh, you crushed me on Tuesday, I'm going to get you next week. Like, today I'm with someone else, but I'm still sore from that, and it's great that like, it really is like an all-inclusive kind of experience. And it's really quite special. It's not like any other gym I've ever been to.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. So how important, like, I question, like, you've kind of mentioned this kind of cosmic element of karma and putting good things out into the world. And I'm wondering, like, how important that is to you personally. Like, are you a spiritual person? Or are you, I mean, you don't have to necessarily tell me if you're religious or not, but like, how important is this idea of karma and spirituality in your life and the way you kind of live it?
It's probably the most important thing, right? Because I really feel like this is the blessing of being sick in the past, because you really have to kind of think about life and what we're here for and what And so I think for me, it's super important because I think it's, thinking about, here, let me put this back on.
Yeah, put it back on airplane mode before it blows up.
Hold on one second, and then I'll finish that. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries.
But no, I think like thinking about like, I think between that and family, those are the two most important.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get kind of lost in the sauce, right? You're like with business or with whatever, or trying to grow the brand or but at the end of the day, you can't take it with you, right?
No.
So it's kind of like, what is truly important, is bigger than dog pound. It's bigger than training whoever, right? It's like, so I do feel like the spiritual part is a very big thing for me. And I don't have a specific religion or way. I think it's all the same. I think they all
lead to the same place,
right?
Yeah.
And so whatever gets that person there, I think is something that's very powerful. And I think again, then the second thing is family, which includes best friends, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've like filmed in like more than 50 countries all around the world and done crazy stuff. And you're right, like that kind of spirituality really does exist, but it really just doesn't matter how you get there. And it doesn't matter, which religion you might choose or whether you have some kind of higher spirituality. Like for me, it's nature. Like I love being out in nature. I feel so connected with nature. You feel connected to something much bigger than yourself. And it is very humbling, right? And then of course, I also feel like that's a real healing process as well. Like being connected to nature, fresh air, sleeping with the rhythm of the earth, like going to bed at 6, 7 p.m., waking up at 5, like, with the sunlight and all this. It's no artificial light, no digital distraction, just kind of being out in space is absolutely my religion.
Yeah. No, I can see with Kilimanjaro, because you're acting like that was just like a walk in the park, and this is not a walk. Because I did go hiking once before.
Oh, did you? How did it go?
Not very good,
Yeah.
and it was not. Well, I mean, what I mean is like it was much harder than I had anticipated. I went to Mount Elbert, Colorado.
Okay, I haven't been there, but isn't that a good one? How high is it? Like 10,000?
It's 14,000.
Oh wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, but not bad as a perspective. Like not bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what I was really going on. Like I thought I was just going on like a hike, just like
a day hike.
Yeah, it was not like that.
Yeah. Did you have a hat at least?
Yes, with the lights and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's funny, like I've trekked and climbed all around the world, and the most dangerous thing is never the mountain or the desert. It's almost always the sun. It is like really, really dangerous. Yeah. And of course, like when you're dealing with altitude, so when you're dealing with altitude is very interesting because you can get altitude sickness, right? Okay, so what is altitude sickness? Okay, well, yeah, it's like lack of oxygen to the brain, and you can get headaches, and you can get a pulmonary edema, right, which can kill you. So it can be very serious. So the point is, like, you have to catch it early, and you really have to kind of understand your body and listen to your body. So it's a lot like personal training, and it can be quite meditative too. And like when you start to feel yourself losing your breath, you got to slow down. Obviously, drinking water, staying hydrated, realizing when you need water, realizing when you need to stop, not eating too much, because eating too much takes up too much water and too much energy in your body, and then it can't function, and you can't hike as cleanly as you would. So, keeping food like minimal, increasing your water intake, protecting from the sun, like all these things kind of keep altitude sickness at bay. But the one moment there's like a chink in your armor, that altitude sickness will just come in and destroy you.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Yeah. I really learned that at Aconcagua. So there's this beautiful mountain in Argentina called Aconcagua. It's the highest mountain in the Americas. It's about 24,000 feet, just 7,000 meters. And that was insane. Yeah, it was like just one big block of ice just going up every day, trying not to die.
It's insanity. So that's the hardest one you've done, or what's the...
It's the biggest one I've done. I think the desert trips are probably the hardest because they're more psychologically difficult. Like, because walking in the desert is really a mind fuck, because you're walking and you're following this guide, and we had like a 16 camel caravan because there's no villages. We had to carry all of our own water. But you're just like, why are we walking this way? Because that way looks the same, and that way looks the same, and the way we just came from looks the same. And you're putting all your trust in this guide, and everything looks the same day after day. At least in a mountain, you can see like, okay, we're at camp 2. Yesterday we were at camp 1. We're going up, right? You can feel the progression. So that really motivates you. But in the desert, you don't feel any progression, and it just destroys your emotions and your positivity. and it can really get you if you're not watching for it.
It's like the scene on Wally World Vacation.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Chevy Chase.
He wrecks the station wagon.
Yeah. Oh man, those such good movies back in the day.
I love that. Yeah.
So as you move forward, is there anything you want to talk about for 2024? Anything that is coming that you would like to announce, or anything kind of on the go for you personally or for the brand, the Dog Pound?
You know what? Not quite yet, actually.
No, you give it a few more months.
Yeah, give it a few more months. Have me back with me and Jenny, and we'll announce it.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are working on some really special things.
Okay.
You know, one thing I was just thinking about this. I wouldn't mind talking about is sayings that I have on my tattoo.
I would love to ask you about your tattoos. I didn't know how private and personal they were. What do you got for me?
I have as you think, you shall become for my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I have 2 quotes on my head.
Okay. And 2 lightning bolts.
2 lightning.
Yeah.
And my favorite one actually.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, on the back.
There's Jenny's daughter calls me Butts.
What was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo, old school, was a tribal. It was an old school tribe. You remember tribals?
I don't remember tribals. What was
Yeah.
that?
See, you know what? This is like, they were popular 25 years ago.
I mean, what led you to your first tattoo? I mean, was it friends, peer pressure, or was it just pure artistic expression on your part?
I would say the second part, but also because I had lost a lot of weight, I have a lot of loose skin. So part of it was taking something that I didn't really like and then making it into something that I did like, right? So that's why my whole upper body is covered. Just like, I mean, it goes
everywhere.
But yeah, so that's what I do think is kind of cool to do that, right? Taking a negative and turning it into a positive.
Yeah.
Which I think is, if I look at it's a theme throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, so.
Absolutely.
But there are some cool quotes there. So.
What are the ones on your head? What's the quotes on your head?
So it takes a little bit of insanity to achieve great things.
Agreed.
I have that twice, right here and here.
Yeah. I mean, everyone always talks about the line between insane people and geniuses is very thin, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to wreck shit and we're going to be insane?
Yes, we are. Well, we already are. It's already happened.
We know which side of the line we're on.
Yeah. And then I also have, this one's from Brian Hammer. Do you know who Brian Hammer is?
I don't know who that is, no.
He is the most inspiring trainer we have. He is
Out of New York? Yeah.
Yeah. He is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
He is amazing. I've known him for a decade plus. He started off in our kids program in 2013. Now he's like one of our top book trainers. His name is Brian Hammer.
Okay. And shout out to Brian.
Yes. And so he basically, I asked him I was already decided I was going to put it on my head, whatever he said. So it was kind of a risky bet. But I asked him what his favorite quote was. He said, "When opportunity knocks, you open the goddamn door."
Absolutely, right?
So that's on my head.
Uh-huh.
The other one on my head.
You didn't feel nervous putting tattoos on your head? Like, because your head hasn't always been shaven. I saw you with a photo a couple years ago where you had like a full head of hair.
I know. The problem is, like, now my mohawk's like a mustache, right? The problem is this bald's right here. So if I can't really grow it. I mean, I can, but it.
So just, again, to take that free space and make it something you love, right?
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So then also the other quote is, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail."
Forge your own path. Yeah.
Trailblazing.
Yeah. I love that.
So those are some of my favorite ones. But
pretty representative of your career thus far.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do like, I do think that trailblazing is something that we have tried to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right, including like even scaling this business, right, and even creating a one-on-one training as a brand, right,
which I think is so unique because I don't think people have figured out how to build that community, and I think you've done it spectacularly.
Yeah, I also was very blessed again with a client. His name is Fabian Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Fabian.
Fabian,
yeah,
New York or LA?
He is New York, but he is one of the most iconic branding people in the world. And I started just happened to train him in 2013, 14, 15. And so he came up with our logo. He helped design our gyms.
Oh, wow. So another example of your clientele stepping up and helping you build a business.
I would say he's been the most impactful client we've ever had.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. It's so wonderful that your clients have helped you raise money, have helped you with branding, have helped you with marketing. And of course, I follow you and the gym. And I mean, it's amazing how many clients post on their social media to just get the word out that they're there and they're training with the best and they're kind of supporting you and your business.
Yeah. No, it's really been a blessing. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Because a lot of people are shitty about stuff like that. They're like, oh, why would I post, if I'm not getting paid or I'm not doing free classes this or blah, blah, blah. You're not getting some compensation in some way, shape or form. But it seems like no one gives a fuck,
Yeah.
and everyone just wants to be part of what you've built.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. It's very powerful. So what else you got on the tattoos? You got any leg tattoos or is it just upper body?
My entire upper body.
Okay. What's on your hand there?
This one is, we won't talk.
Have you ever had tattoos removed?
You know what? So this tattoo was, it was a red star, and then I put my ex-girlfriend's name on it, and then I had to cover that up.
Yeah.
So this one hurts here more than the head. There's the wrist.
Yeah, because there's no meat there, right? It's just all bone there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did this 4 times.
Oh, Jesus. One of my best friends, he's a director, my director of photography for all my TV shows. He was in Shanghai with me, and he got his fiance at the time. He got her name and on his shoulder, and then they broke up, and then he turned it into like this, and then he spent like years trying to figure out like how to cover this up. But he ended up building this like beautiful deer because he's Canadian too, right? And deers are so important. But it was so funny, like how people, they think they're going to be together forever, and then they ink it out, and it never works.
Yeah. That is the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like almost like you almost don't, unless it's like your mom or your brother, like you almost don't want to put.
Yeah. I have no tattoos or piercings. I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to that.
That's kind of cool though, actually. You're on blank canvas.
I'm so afraid of like time passing, and because I change, I really reinvent myself every few years.
Yeah.
And I kind of really grow. I think it's growing. Some people might say regression, but I think it's growing. And I really do change a lot of the values and ideas that I have. And I feel that is like an evolution of who I am. And I just can see like after 3 or 4 years, I'll be like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking then, not who I am today. And to have, but also too, it's kind of also like a history book, right? Like, oh, that was that time when I was feeling like that. That was this time when I was feeling like this. So it's almost like a history of your life and where you were at various stages of the tattooing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what's good news is when you get so into it, then you don't even care at some point. Like I started adding smiley faces and hearts and what.
Do you have one tattoo artist you go to for all of it, or do you just pick them up as you go?
Kind of mixed up. There's one really great one in West Hollywood I've been using recently up the street.
Okay. You'll have to let me know offline. Yeah, just in case.
Yeah. Can't pronounce it actually. I want to give him a shout out.
Yeah, give him a shout out. Find it. It's okay. Yeah, on Santa Monica?
No, it's just right up the street. It starts with a T.
No.
Hold on, I'm up.
Take your time. Take your time. The audience is with us no matter what, so we're all good. If they've tuned in this far, they're going to stay.
Oh, is this live?
No, it's not live.
Okay.
It'll go out. But I won't edit anything, so I refuse to edit. I think it's I tweak the audio, like I'll clean the audio up and make sure the audio is like nice, but I don't edit anything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I should.
No, take your time. It's no stress. One of my buddies came on a couple of weeks ago, and we went for 3 hours because we hadn't seen each other in like a decade, and we had so much to catch up on. And people have watched that and listened to that like thousands of times. It's just my friend and I catching up for hours.
I love that.
Yeah.
Actually.
I just love this. I love this medium, and I love this space because it allows me to meet very, interesting and inspiring people like yourself. And then I also have a space where I can catch up with my friends and my colleagues and people in my industry and share and talk shop and if people find it interesting, they find it interesting. If they don't, they can go elsewhere. It's all good.
No, it's so smart, actually.
Yeah.
It's so smart. Well,
I'm going to start pulling all your team through here, by the way. because I'm so inspired by all
I
of
love
them.
that, actually.
Yeah.
No, and thank you for starting with me. I appreciate that.
It has to be, you have to be the start. It came from you, right? It was your vision. So for me to deal with all of your amazing trainers and your other amazing staff, they're all going to be talking about how wonderful it is, but without having your story first, none of it connects.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really do have an amazing team, right?
It really is. You have no idea. Like, because, I've gone through I've had some really hard challenges last year and this year as well, work and other things that haven't like really worked out. But honestly, having that consistency of being able to work out with you and your team and having that community there has been just incredible. And it really does, like, again, physical activity makes you feel better. Connecting with a personal trainer makes you feel better. Having a trainer that cares about you and understands what you're trying to get out of it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Like, it's all just positivity all the time. And there's so few places like that where it's just all positive.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I started doing this, right?
Mm.
Was to really the whole goal is to make people feel better and to make people smile,
Mhm.
right? And so I think...
And sweat a fuck ton.
and sweating sometimes too.
Yeah. I haven't thrown up yet, but I've been close a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I've started doing is I've started incorporating, because obviously I played basketball way back in the day. And I kind of OD'd on basketball. Like, I played all through college and it was just a lot. So by the time I was done my career, I was really done. So I really didn't pick up a basketball for like 20 years until I started training in your West Hollywood location. And I've started incorporating shooting foul shots in between the nasty workouts. So what I'll do is I'll do like 3 exercises, 3 sets, and then I'll shoot 2 foul shots for like 5 or 10 push-ups. And the guys are starting to get into it now, and they're trying to work me in a way where I'll miss.
Yeah, because your arms are so tight.
Yeah,
Funny.
yeah, because you do an arm workout or a back workout, you can't shoot a foul shot.
The irony of that is I am terrible at basketball.
Really?
The concept of me putting a basketball court in there really made no sense. But but you know what? The sense of it was like New York, right? We're bringing New York to LA, like 'cause New York, in specific Manhattan. If you think about sports, like basketball is
Inner city sports, the Knicks are huge, of course. Yeah.
and a lot of it has like football is not the sport because there's not enough land. I mean, it's like basketball is really the sport.
Yeah. I guess start to do training sessions for nose tackles.
Yeah, we should actually.
Yeah.
We'll order pizza.
Nose tackle boot camp.
Yeah.
Beautiful, buddy. Well, look, I know you're busy. I really have appreciated your time. Is there anything? Where can we find you on? Where can we find out more about you? And then where can we find out more about the Dog Pound?
Got it. So I think we have Instagram handles, Dog Pound, at Kirk Myers Fitness. We have a website, thedogpound.com. You can Google us. There's articles. And so, but thank you. Yeah. Thank you for being a part of.
No, it's a great community, and I'm glad that now you're part of this community as well. So, I want to connect and hang out with inspiring people, and I'm humbled that you're one of them who's come and sat in the chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, look, man, have a great day, and I will see you next week, Tuesday, because I'll be in the gym on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, boss.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Now we go wide, and so people can see we're in the same fucking room. No Zooms. We're here. Awesome, buddy. Thank you for coming by. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.